So I think another thing that can possibly be on people's mind is what goes on behind the scenes in production. One of the things that we've talked about and I highly recommend is visiting your factory when you're in production. But sort of, when someone emails you and is saying, how's production going? They're checking up and maybe they don't get a response for a few days and they're, freaking out. Like, what's going on behind the scenes?
Sure. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's several steps and several departments or, sub-departments, I should say, that are touching the product. There's the marker maker. That's one of the first things that happens. So they're making an efficient yield, kind of like we talked about earlier, putting all those pieces of the puzzle together to lay up the layered cut. So that's one area that it's in. Then it moves into cutting. And then from cutting, there's some prep work that needs to get done. You might have a snap or a grommet or a heat transfer label or something that has to happen before it goes into sewing. And then when it's in sewing, one thing a lot of new people don't understand is if you have 1,000 pieces in sewing, you're not finishing 50 and then 50 and then 50 and then 50. You are doing assembly line construction, really. So you might sew all 1,000 sleeves first, and then you might sew all 1,000 side seams second, and you might sew all 1,000 collars third. And so, you've got these partial garments that are all not going to be finished until at the very end when they all get their hem on the bottom. So so that's going on too. So there's all these moving parts of maybe snaps or grommets or embroideries or silk screens and all those things that need to happen. And then there also is the sewing that of course is, happening in segments and finishing at the very, very end.
Right. A lot of moving parts, like you said.